So the defeat looks much bigger than it is, carries much bigger impact than the quantum of defeat. Aam Aadmi Party has become completely obsessively electoral party, and there's no movement element left in it. Aam Aadmi, all the things that you've listed, they're shocking indifference at the time of Delhi riots. They're silent observers when bulldozers are happening. The race to be more anti-Muslim than the BJP on the Rohingya issue. I mean, these are such shockingly shameful sort of set of conduct. BJP is into a game of complete dominance. Total dominance is BJP's game. And BJP will not stop at defeating the Aam Aadmi Party in elections.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Indian Express. We've been covering the Delhi election results, of course. It's more or less settled now. We're very fortunate. We have with us Yogendra Yadav ji. He is a political activist, writer, academic, and a columnist for the Indian Express, where you should read him all the time. Sir, thank you so much for joining me. So quickly, first things first, it is a big loss for the Aam Aadmi Party. It is its bastion, its origin. Would you characterize the election as fair? Because critics have, even in the run-up, had said that this is like many others preceding it. The BJP in the center have an unfair advantage. Do you think that is a fair claim now after the result as well?
In a structural sense, it is not fair. In a limited sense of counting the votes, it looks to be fair. It is unfair because BJP used the entire central government machinery. It's unfair because Election Commission's own conduct left so much to be desired. It is unfair because the central government used the union budget to make an announcement, which the Chief Election Commission had explicitly promised shall not happen. BJP makes that announcement. Not only that, they issue an advertisement to say, we have done it for Delhi. And the CEC sort of just sleeps over it. So yes, in that larger sense, there was nothing like a level playing ground. But in the more limited sense of does the count of votes reflect the manner in which people had voted, there's no reason to assume that it was unfair in that limited sense of the term.
The Aam Aadmi Party now, a lot of question marks are being raised. There was a sarcastic on the future of the India alliance. I mean, in the sense that there was a sort of sarcastic tweet or by Omar Abdullah ji saying, "Or lado," I think alluding to the Congress Aam Aadmi Party fight. Uh, how do you see that from a broader sense of, is it possible to have state-wise fights between constituents of the larger opposition and then come together as and when needed? Or given the nature of the BJP, do you need a different kind of alliance than what used to be earlier? It was all like this more often, but do you need a more concerted alliance with more ideological clarity and unity as well?
Akash, allow me to speak first about Aam Aadmi Party
Right.
itself and its defeat rather than the coalition. To my mind, coalition failure is not central to the failure of Aam Aadmi Party
Right.
because technically and objectively speaking, the defeat is much smaller than it looks. In terms of seats, it's 22-48. I mean, it looks like vanquished and so on. In terms of vote share, I've just checked with my colleagues, the difference is at the most 4 percentage
Right.
points.
Right. Yeah.
So what's happened is this. Aam Aadmi, BJP would get something like 54% votes in elections, which in Lok Sabha election, which it did in 2019, also this time. In the Vidhan Sabha election, about 15% of those voters will desert BJP and shift to Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah.
This time, also the desertion took place.
Yeah.
But it was not 15%. Only half of the people, half of the voters who used to switch from BJP to Aam Aadmi Party, half of them stayed back.
Yeah.
That's all that has happened.
Yeah.
So, everything which would be put as landslide and all that, this is actually fairly limited. However, given the nature of Aam Aadmi Party, this would have a much deeper impact. A, because Aam Aadmi Party has become completely obsessively electoral party and there's no movement element left in it. B, because Aam Aadmi Party is so Delhi-centric. They run Punjab from Delhi.
Yeah.
So everything is Delhi-centric. And three, the party is so Arvind Kejriwal-centered that
Right.
his personal defeat, which I must say today was a courageous decision because New Delhi is not a Aam Aadmi Party stronghold. He could have shifted like Manish Sisodia did. but he decided to stay there. That was a big risk. And that big risk has the cost that it would be seen as a defeat of the entire party now. So the defeat looks much bigger than it is, carries much bigger impact than the quantum of defeat.
Right.
Alliances were not so critical, just as in the case of Haryana. There was a lot made out for absence of alliances. I really thought alliance was at the most a matter of 1 or 2 seats in Haryana. In Delhi, it can be matter of at the most 3 or 4 seats.
Right.
If you do paper arithmetic, you would of course say 10 or 12.
Yeah, but no,
Because if you add all the votes of Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, probably BJP would have been defeated in 12 constituency. But that is on the assumption that all the Congress votes were anti-BJP votes.
yeah,
That's not the case. In Lok Sabha election, Congress votes are anti-BJP votes.
yeah,
But a substantial chunk of Congress votes are anti-Aam Aadmi Party
right,
votes,
of course.
which Congress would have been in no position to transfer to the Aam Aadmi Party.
Right.
So a seat adjustment done 3 weeks before the election would not have done the trick, no matter what the paper calculation shows. However, if India coalition had presented itself as a national coalition beginning with the Lok Sabha election, where incidentally the Delhi understanding was not so good on the ground,
Yeah,
if they had tried to build themselves into a alternative for the country, if they had indeed come together and presented themselves as an alternative to voters of Delhi, then things could have been different. But that would have required them to sort out some big things, not just seat adjustment,
yeah,
but also the elephant in the room, namely the question of how do you respond on the question of secularism and communalism,
exactly.
on which they have adopted exactly the opposite stances.
Exactly. So, I wanted to get to that quickly because I know you have elsewhere to be soon. But, one of the criticisms, and perhaps justifiably so, of the Aam Aadmi Party in recent years, like you were saying, one, it has become very Kejriwal-centric. Even the show of Atishi saying, like, Bharat leaving the chair for Ram. You are appointed, you're an elected MLA. This kind of personality-centric theatrics on the one hand, but also, the recent orders before the election, what we would have called, I mean, what they would say, just even Hemanta Biswa Sarma has not said we will hunt for illegal migrants in government schools by sending in. I mean, there is so the critics of the Aam Aadmi Party and of the BJP of that kind of politics have justifiably perhaps said Delhi riots, who are you all but blame the victims in many ways. And then you turn around and say Muslim vote Congress split kar rahi hai. So this is some of the Congress people, for example, of the record, and they speak to us or this thing. They will say that it cannot be only us who has to take on the bida of beating the BJP and adjusting and doing everything. Whereas both in terms of ideas and adjustment, the Aam Aadmi Party has been awfully self-centered. Let's put it that way, if nothing else, as well as dodgy on the question of secularism. Do you think that now going forward in opposition, it will need more clarity if it wants to stay relevant in Delhi and beyond?
Indeed, it would. Let me say that actually Congress's intervention on Muslim seats has not cost Aam Aadmi
Yeah,
Party too many seats. Aam
yeah,
Aadmi Party has done well in Muslim seats.
yeah,
Congress hasn't been. Look at places like Okhla and other places. No, Aam Aadmi Party has done. So
yeah,
it's incorrect to say, although a lot of Delhi voters, Muslim voters, sympathize with Congress.
yeah,
They would have liked to vote for the Congress, but only if Congress got some other votes. And they could see that Congress was not getting that vote, so they did not vote for Congress. So factually, it's incorrect to say that Congress cost them. Secondly, and I do not believe that Aam Aadmi Party lost because of its vacillating stand on secularism.
yeah,
So in their cynical calculations, they were correct. But the real big question is, uh, does this politics pay?
yeah,
Aam Aadmi, all the things that you've listed, they're shocking indifference at the time of Delhi riots. They're silent observers when bulldozers are happening. The race to be more anti-Muslim than the BJP on the Rohingya issue. I mean, these are such shockingly shameful sort of set of conduct. But mind you, these were not failures of Aam Aadmi Party.
yeah,
This was a well thought out strategy.
right.
And Aam Aadmi Party leaders must have told you, look, we are smarter than you
Yeah, yeah,
secular people.
yeah,
Because this phase, we will defeat BJP on its own ground. We
yeah,
will be more Hindu than that. Now, what we have witnessed today is that that strategy does not pay.
yeah,
It has limited dividends. You cannot defeat BJP at its own game.
right.
If you want to take on the BJP, you have to come out and take stand on these issues. The stand need not be spoken in the old language of secularism, which has lost connect with the people. But you have to speak about these things. You have to stand up. So that's one big lesson, that what is called soft Hindutva
Yeah.
is not the smartest way to defeat the BJP.
Yeah.
That Aam Aadmi Party has to learn. And for the larger lesson for India coalition, I think one simple thing would be stop taking vicarious pleasure in each other's defeat,
Right.
which many of them have done over the last few months. When
Yeah.
Congress lost, many of them couldn't stop their pleasure. And I've heard that some Congress leaders have done the same today. Now, that's not on. It is a collective defeat. Mind you, BJP is into a game of complete dominance. Total dominance is BJP's game. And BJP will not stop at defeating the Aam Aadmi Party in elections. It will go much further. They'll try and, I mean, I would not be surprised if they try and divide the party after it's been defeated.
Yeah.
Because the name of the game would be to finish. Today it's Aam Aadmi Party, tomorrow it will be someone else. They have to come together. The opposition has to learn to behave like an opposition. The enormous psychological boost that the opposition got, they almost looked like the winners of 2024. And they've managed to squander much of that psychological advantage in the last 2, 3 months.
Right. So
Uh,
you
they have
almost
to
answered
regain
my
it,
last
and that's
question.
the big message.
You've almost answered the last question, but just the last part of that answer, I just ask you to expand on it because is it now, of course, psychologically, it seems like the look after the Lok Sabha, if not win, but certainly a good performance by the opposition, which it should have taken heart in. Uh, do you think it squandered that win, although not win again is a strong word, but perhaps squandered the gains it made now over the last few assembly elections, now with Delhi included, the string of defeats?
They were real advantages and they were perceptional
Yeah.
advantages. The real advantage is stay. It's a very large country,
Yeah.
and it's not easy to lose to change the lie of the land.
Yeah.
But in perceptual advantage, they have managed to squander a lot of the perceptual advantage. In many ways, politics is like stock market. Perceptions rule the world. And in perception, the opposition has lost a lot and they have to regain. And to my mind, the India coalition must realize that in order to be a bloc, you do not become a bloc simply by having seat adjustment 3 weeks before elections. You have to behave like a bloc. You have to present something to the alternative to the country. Rahul Gandhi says, if we were to deliver presidential address, this is what it would look like. Lovely. Now, I want the entire India bloc to say this. I want India bloc to tell me these are the 5 things we are going to do this in the country. And then not just say it, actually come to the streets,
And
join the battle on the street in a most peaceful and democratic way. That's the thing which is waiting to happen. Until that happens, we can only say that this has been a setback. Setback for today has been a setback not just for Aam Aadmi Party, but those who believed in dreams of alternative politics and anyone who wants to save this republic.
right. Thank you so much, sir. We've kept you exactly 2 minutes over time, so not too much. And
Thank you.
we'll talk again soon, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Read sir's columns on the IndianExpress.com. Okay. Thank you, sir.